One of my absolute favorite books of all time is the book called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. The reason why it's on my top list is because Joe Dispenza talks about his backstory and the reason why he put together the book. Earlier on in his life, he was hit by a car while bicycling, and he was basically thrown into trauma where he was told he was never going to be able to walk again and that he would need a surgery to be able to assist him in life. He basically turned against it and decided that he was going to do it himself. He literally visualized himself repairing his spine and everything that he needed to make sure that his life would go back together again. Interestingly enough, he was able to manage that. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because in a time where we're so crippled by negativity in society, and especially stemming from the media, we have a tendency to get our energy drained through that stuff and, suck our vital power out of ourselves. And the reason why I mentioned Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, is because it's so important in aiding people's understandings in this time, especially in a time when, we're now realizing that even without, COVID-19 and the fear that the media is exploiting through it all, what's important to remember is that we have this beautiful power within us all. And it's touched on in the book in such a beautiful way. The reason why Becoming Supernatural pertains so much to the present day and what we're dealing with, with this virus, is that we've become so conditioned to and by fear and having our energy drained because of it. And what's so interesting is that in the book Becoming Supernatural, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about how throughout life, depending on what we're exposed to, what we experience, we tend to live based on all of that. And the way that it works is simple. It is this. We live from a known past and we project that into a predictable future. And so the reason why it's so important to eject from all of this negativity is because we're going to continue living the same way over and over again within fear and by fear. What's important for us to realize is that as we've been so in tune with the media and all of the fear mongering that it projects onto us and exploits us in that way, we see people panic buying, living in survival mode, and it's just simply not necessary. It's okay to respond to what's happening right now, but it's not okay to react at such a low vibration, because even within the book, Becoming Supernatural, Dr. Joe Dispenza points out that fear is one of the lowest vibrations, and we're able to be negatively exploited within that vibration, within those feelings of worry, of anxiety, of stress, of distress, of all these different things. The fact of the matter is that when we're in those lower vibrations, we take that from a known past and project that into a predictable future. So with that, we continue living the same way over and over and over again. And one of the biggest takeaways from this is to realize that this is what the media has been doing actually all along. I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't take necessary precautions against this virus, but what I am suggesting is that we shouldn't live in fear, because the fact of the matter, and this is something that a lot of people don't realize, the fact of the matter is that when we live in fear, this low vibration of fear actually shuts off genes in our bodies, which has us working against potential infections, potential illness, potential diseases. And this is why it's so important to shut ourselves off from fear and realize that everything is actually going to be okay, and more than okay. In Becoming Supernatural, Joe Dispenza says, when you change your emotions, you can change the expression of your genes, turning some on and others off. Because you are sending a new chemical signal to your DNA, which can then instruct your genes to make different proteins, upregulating or downregulating, to make all kinds of new building blocks that can change the structure and function of your body. And this is why it is literally so important, especially in this time, to eject from all the fear, is simply because considering fear is one of the lowest vibrations out there, and what it has us doing is very, in terms of actions, very irrational, not on a conscious basis. We basically don't take consequences into consideration because we're just acting out of, low energy. We're acting out of survival mode, basically. Not only does it turn some genes off that could be very beneficial for us, especially in fighting viruses, infections, diseases, all that stuff, but also it just keeps us living in survival mode. When we continue living in survival mode, we treat ourselves a very specific way. Not only that, but considering we treat ourselves a very specific way, and how we treat ourselves is how we treat others, we also treat others in a very specific way. And if we're treating ourselves in survival mode, we're most definitely going to treat other people that way. And so this is why we've seen videos in the news on, in the media of, people fighting over resources and stuff, because people are scared. People are terrified. But it's unnecessary, because that same feeling that's bringing people to, go into survival mode and, feel like their life is threatened and feel like they need to do things is the same feeling that's going to shut off these necessary genes. While everything is kind of like shutting down, locking down, and being canceled, just remember, I found this on social media, by the way, conversations will not be canceled. Relationships will not be canceled. Love will not be canceled. Songs will not be canceled. Reading will not be canceled. Self-care will not be canceled. And hope will not be canceled. Unfortunately, a lot of these things become forgotten when we're living in fear. Just remember to take care of your mind.